Brock. He be rock. Huh, Misty, when it's wet in the air, but like only a little. Hello, I'm Loxton, and this is my show, Gnoggin. Have you ever noticed that Pokemon gym leaders have some very specific names? Like, obviously, it's a kid's show, so give every character a perfectly fitting name that gets who they are and what they do across really quick and easily, you know? Brock is a rock-type gym leader. You can tell before you even see him or even see his gym, because his name is just Rock with a B in front of it. And yes, just about every gym leader is like this. But some are a little bit less obvious than others, as you'll see. Because today we are going over every gym leader name, just like we did with all the Pokemon. Only now it's slightly less interesting, so let's get started. But first, it's sponsor time, Boxu. I love this part. This year, give the gift of premium Japanese snacks straight from Japan. Everyone loves snacks, so a Boxu subscription makes a perfect gift for anyone, be them near or far, or even right behind you. Tanner, what does this say?
Hazukapu, gummy. Oh, look at that, Hokkaido at the top.
Is that too stylized?
No, I can actually read that for some reason.
Oh.
Manju. Yeah, milk manju. Probably gonna taste like milk or like caramel, probably.
Are you just reading the tiny little English?
No, I'm not. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, that means you were right.
Cool, I'll take it. A lot of these are great, because even if I don't know the kanji, if I get the package later, I can just look it up and commit it to memory.
It's a good way to learn things.
The taste helps with memorizing. Oh, thank you.
It's like a pancakey outside, and then the inside feels gummy.
Yeah.
Cool. It's really good, though.
Yeah. It's like the best little dorayaki thing I've ever had.
And now here's my gift to you, a coupon code, Loxton10. Use it with the link down in the description, and you can get 10% off. It makes an excellent gift, which could be a gift for you, because we all know you deserve it. Lieutenant Surge. Let's break it down. We can assume he is a lieutenant, because why would you lie about that? Plus, he said he was in the army. It's not crazy to be a lieutenant. What is crazy, though, is how gargantuan the man is. Well, anyway, he likes electric-type Pokemon. And a surge is normally when something overflows or pushes past barriers, like a surge of water over a dam wall. Or in his case, a surge of voltage on an electrical line. So a power surge is the phrase he is named after. And thankfully, it doesn't take long for us to get to a seemingly normal name, Erika, the grass gym leader of Kanto. Erika is a Western name, and the feminine form of the name Eric, which is actually very common in Japan for some reason. As to why she is named Erika, well, that all has to do with its meaning. Erika with a K is similar to Erika with a C, and this spelling of Erika is also the name of a genus of approximately 860 species of flowering plants in the family Ericaceae? Ericaceae? Commonly known as heaths. So yes, she's named after a plant family. Koga and Janine are the poison-type gym leaders. Koga is a traditional Japanese name that has a few translations, one being antiquity, which works perfectly as he's a very traditional man and fulfills ninja tradition by poisoning people. It could also come from Koga-ryu, a school of ninjutsu. And by a school of ninjutsu, I mean like the real one, from the Warring States period of Japanese history. It is sometimes abbreviated all the way down to just Koga, so we sort of got our meaning here. But as for Janine, well, if you channel your inner Captain Underpants, I'm sure you can rearrange the letters to be better. Ah, here. Ninja. That's right, she's sort of the word ninja with an E. Sabrina, the creepy psychic-type gym leader, is obviously named after the teenage witch of the same name, another popular character at the time. Although, why is she named Sabrina in the first place? Well, according to the guy who named Sabrina the teenage witch, she was named after a high school friend, who apparently wasn't actually named Sabrina, he just forgot the name. Wow. Talk about the ultimate rude move. But anyway, psychic powers and her whole demeanor are very witch-like, so to get that across better, the localizers named her after another popular witch. Blaine, the young old man fire-type quiz show host. Man, I want a cool description like that. So Blaine's name means weird and odd, because in Scottish, Blaine is essentially yellow. Like yeah, a color, and I guess yellow is close to the color of fire, but the name Blaine also means slender and thin, much like him. Oh, and did I mention Blaine sounds an awful lot like blaze? Or perhaps the word flame mushed together? Flame, blame, Blaine. Simple stuff, people. Giovanni. Oh, he's a JoJo. Now his pose sort of makes sense. But actually, though, Gio is the Italian version of John. You know, like Jonathan. But really, though, being an Italian name, it just works with this whole mob boss look and idea. Plus, it's just fun to say. Giovanni. Like, what a bad guy name. Also, Giovanni also has Gio in the beginning, with Giovanni being a sort of ground-type gym leader when you first face him. So, you know, geology. Giovanni. Now, Falkner. That's just a weird way of saying falconeer. You know, someone who falcons.
What the heck?
I love English. Just put ER after some noun, and it's a profession now. I'm an Englisher, so you can trust me. But actually, Falkner is a German name that just meant falconeer. You came from a long lineage of falconers. And this makes a lot of sense if you remember that Falkner is a flying type gym leader. Ah, Bugsy! Well, bugs do bother me, but Bugsy, oh man, that guy gets under my skin. Whitney! The name Whitney is English and common. It comes from the White Island in Old English. What that means is she's white, and one of the common tropes for white people in anime, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, is that the breasts are comparatively huge. Yep. Also, white is the color of milk, and her main Pokemon is Miltank, and also the normal type is portrayed as having white energy and such, so it's all good. Morty. I turned myself into a cringe thread, Morty. We're not that kind of channel yet. No, Morty is a joke about the word mortician, a job where you deal with the dead. Also, mortis means dead or death in Latin. You see where I'm getting at. The ghost type leader. Morty. Death. Oh, chuck yourself into the trash because I forgot about you. Chuck is named after not the rodent that could in fact chuck wood, but rather Chuck's name comes from the Old English carol, meaning man. Like man's man. Ugh. And Chuck is in fact a manly man fighting type trainer. And you know who else is manly and was incredibly popular at the time this gym leader was new? Chuck Norris. Memes were so much simpler back then, oh my word! Jasmine. Okay, so I'm going to go really deep into this one, because all I could think of at first was, yes, mine! Like, that's what she screams while she's mining metal ore or minerals or something. But like, that's too lame to have been this, right? There's gotta be something more. So, the classical name meaning for Jasmine is basically flower, or gift of God. Secret tip, most names mean gift of God, especially girl names. But if we look into some weird name astrology, Jasmine's special lucky numbers are 1, 4, 8, and 10, and the steel type has 10 resistances. Could be. Jasmine's metal is also iron, according to its name astrology, and iron is the precursor to steel, and she's the steel type trainer. Also, apparently people named Jasmine are materialistic, and you could spell metal with all those letters. Coincidence? I think so. Pryce. I'm just going to state it now. I hate all of the ice-type gym leader names. They are all just ice. I'm not even kidding. Clair, because dragons have lairs. Ha, that's a fun name, good one. It's also French for clear or bright, and she's smart, you know, because she used dragon type back when it was pretty OP. Yeah. Roxanne! Something about her name seems to speak to me about her being a rock-type trainer. Roxanne. Rocks. I can't pinpoint it though, but apparently, like Claire, the name means bright, both definitions, as in bright light, and smart, and being book smart is her entire personality. Brawly! The name Brawly is a boy's name of English origin meaning meadow at the slope of the hill. However, that's not why he's named Brawly, it's because he brawls. You know, like some Super Smash Brothers. He's fighting type. Wattson! What was that, son? I can't hear you because I'm old and probably shocked my hearing out of existence because static electricity makes your hair stand on end, which includes the tiny hairs in your ears. But no, Wattson is named after his favorite unit of measurement, the watt. which is normally used to measure electrical current and other interesting types of power over time, because power without time is meaningless. Unless you're weird and theoretical. Weird, hypothetically, at least. Flannery, my first fictional crush. She's got an Irish name, being a reduced and anglicized form of the Gaelic O Flanabra, descendant of Flanabra, meaning red eyebrows, or from just flan, which is basically red. Oh boy, she's named after another color that is associated with fire, just like Blaine. And also, just like Blaine, if we squish the name together, we can get Flamery. Norman, the normal guy who's just a dude who's normal. He's your dad. Normcore for life, bro. Repping nothing because why be loyal to brands? Just be your normalness. Be proud of your normal. You don't gotta be interesting. Be a Disney fan. There you go. Norman is actually a pretty generic name with Germanic roots, meaning North man, or man of the North, which, funnily enough, would make him abnormal in Hoenn, because Hoenn is to the south. Wait, remember, in those games you just moved there, so he's your dad, so you probably came from the north, because Hoenn's the southernmost point of Japan. The name Winona has a Sioux origin and means firstborn daughter, which is neat because normally names in media are pretty standard English, French, German, Latin. Unfortunately though, I'm sure this name was just chosen because wind, or wing, because flying type trainers are typecasted as bird people. Although I like the idea of wind naming, not just bird. At least her name isn't Rooster or something. Tate and Liza, our first double name, and that's important because individually, Tate and Liza aren't complete without each other. Tate's name is Anglo-Saxon and means bright or pleasant, and in Irish roots it means a measure of land, while Liza means of God, of flower, and it's a Hebrew name. But together, and in almost every language to boot, they sort of make the word levitate. Liza Tate. It's not perfect, but it's close. Levitate is important because they are both psychic-type gym leaders, and psychics levitate things, so there you go. The water-type Wallace is a Scottish surname stemming from the Anglo-Norman French Wallace, Welshman. Basically, it means foreigner, and later would mean someone from Wales. However, Wales is a peninsula, and those are surrounded by water. Also whales live in the water. Also Wallace has the wah sound, which is also what the word water has. Maybe it would have been better if Wallace was a lady, because it would have been wah as in water and lace as in frilly lace. Wah lace. Or perhaps just as in lass, a water lass. You know, maybe I just accidentally exposed something very deep about all of him. Girl, you get out of that water closet! Oh, that's slang for toilet, isn't it? Another water leader, Juan, is another form of John, but Spanish this time. And we all know John means gracious God, or a gift from God. And speaking of religion, you know who baptized Jesus in water? The lore runs deep, like the depths of water. Or it's just because Juan sounds like the beginning of water? Roark, the rock-type gym leader that I liked but also forgot about. Well, knee-jerk reactions to his name, it's rock, it's just rock. It's just like Brock, but with an O thrown in instead of a B. But no, it actually is a bit better. It turns out Roark is just straight up an Irish name, meaning illustrious, much like how metal ore and gemstones appear, and this dude's a miner, so that's great. Gardenia is named after the flower called the gardenia. You know, flower names are actually extremely common, but I don't really think I've ever heard of someone actually being named gardenia, or slump lousewort for that matter. But I guess being a grass-type gym leader, being named after a plant just works. And it's also just the word garden if it was a girl. You know, add an A. It's a girl now.
Maylene.
That's the second time I've brought up Smash. I guess it is Nintendo after all, they only have 3 games and Metroid. However, Maylene's name could be a pun off of melee, sometimes pronounced melee. It's because of melee attacks, punches and kicks. She's fighting type, you see. Crasher Wake! And if you don't know why I hate gym leader names, now you do. I mean, honestly, it's not terrible because he's sort of a wrestler, so it's his stage name, but Crasher Wake, it doesn't even roll off the tongue nice. If you're gonna pick your name, make it good, you know? Don't just name yourself after crashing waves and wakes. You know, the little things that boats make. It's also those weird triangles that break up waves as they hit ports and man-made things to stop erosion. It's because he's water type, if you haven't gathered. Fantina. Now there's an interesting name. Not sure I've ever heard of it, but being a pun on ghosts, I like it already. Possibly coming from phantom or fantasia, you know, the tango. Fantina is traditionally a French name meaning childlike. Yet, its similarities to Phantom is what truly makes this her name, because you just sort of know when naming your kid. Like, it's just birthed, and you're holding it in your arms for the first time, and you just go, oh yeah, this one's going to be weird and like dead stuff, better name her accordingly. Byron. It's just Brock, but iron instead of rock. Candace. Every ice-type gym leader is just named after ice. Like, wow. Well, it's pure ice in this case, as the name Candace means pure and innocent, so you keep your dirty art to yourself. Falkner is possibly from a German name. It's similar to Volker, which means a warrior for the people, or something like that. And this dude is Aryan-seeming, but other than that, we don't know. However, this electric-type gym leader is named Volkner because of the unit of power known as the Volt. Volkner. Ceylon, chili, and cress. Where to begin? Chili, named after the spicy hot food chili, and cress's name means the top or peak of a hill, normally meaning they lived on a hill. But here, I'm going to assume that they mean like the crest of a wave or some body of water that's moving. But more realistically, he's just named after the watercress, a type of aquatic plant that is delicious. Oh, you know what? They're all named after delicious plants that you eat. Chili peppers, watercress, and then Ceylon. It's just cilantro. He's got a pan sage. You can use the plant growth on its head as an herb in cooking, just like cilantro. Plus, their gym is a restaurant, and they are all waiters, so they're all tasty plants you eat. Lenora. At first glance, you wouldn't think that name means normal type, and that's because it sort of doesn't. It's more about her actual characteristics and personality, because she's not a nothing character, Bryson! Her name is a mixture of lore and oral. Telling stories with oral tradition is one of the big reasons we have myths in the first place, and Lenora is all about that. She loves those myths and legends so much that we see her step down from being a gym leader in Black and White 2 to instead just run a local museum. Berg, on top of being close to Bug, his typing, is also an Old English name from bruh. Bruh. It means fortification, and it's also a common name for a neighborhood or densely packed populace. Similar in theory to bugs. You know, termite mounds, wasps' nests, ant colonies, cities. You know, bug things. Humans and bugs are the only things to create these supermassive groups like this, so I'm not too mad at Berg's name, even if it is kind of a lame name. Drayden is a recent name in the grand scheme of things, and possibly is African in origin, though the original meaning isn't quite known. You know how things get lost. But what I do know is that the localizers probably just looked up names with dra in them and took this over Drarik because dragons plus the added bonus of den, like a lair. Dragon's lair, dragon's den, Drayden. Nice. Iris is one of the very few gym leaders where her English name is the same as the Japanese version. And while I'm bringing that up, I should mention in the Japanese version, all of the gym leaders sort of follow a flower motif. It's a shame that that got a bit lost in translation, but not with this one at least. Iris. As in an iris, of course. It's a flower, and it's a very purple flower regularly, deep purple being the color associated with the dragon type, and irises themselves can also look sort of dragony too. Do you see it? Just squint a little. More specifically, the Japanese iris, actually, and now that I look at it, it's kind of the exact same shape as her hair. Traditionally, the name Iris means messenger of the gods, or rainbow, depending on who you ask. And while dragons aren't gods themselves, they are extremely powerful, along with being almost masters of all the other types. Though that's not true anymore because Fairy was added in the next gen. That sort of messes them up. Elisa, who existed before the Disney Ice person, so not ice. Though if you asked anyone on the street what Pokemon type Elisa uses, they'll probably say ice type. But no, she's electric. And as for her name is actually not a common name. It's possibly a corruption of a real name though, but some sources say it could be an uncommon shortening of Elizabeth, like Queen Elizabeth. And I guess the UK spearheaded the Industrial Revolution, which led to a boom in electricity usage, so there's a possibility. However, it still is Pokemon, so let's look at it real slow-like. Elisa. Ella from electric, duh, and Sa comes from salsa because she's fuego. No, maybe Tesla, or SA in the electrical world means small appliance. So that, plus hot. Is she a toaster? Because all toasters toast. Clay, a man of the earth, doing honest work out there in the dirt and clay. A truly grounded individual. Can you tell my type? And then there's Skyla, always flying around with her head in the clouds. The sky, you could say, where flying types are. Bryson. Ree. The smallest Ree, just like Ree. The name's just Brock, but ice. Bryce in. Like, why don't we even try, guys? You know what else starts with a B and is just their type? Brock. Next you'll tell me there's a Billectric, or Bwatter, oh Brass, Befire. You know the guy. Here comes fighting. The B is silent. It's probably Russian or something. Or Latin for flower of God or something. Who knows? Roxy, the rocker pet name of Roxanne, which means dawn of day. And we all know that Roxy does not wake up at dawn. This gen really seemed to just take the names at face value, because Roxy is more than just rock and toxic mixed together. And I should clarify, rock as in the music genre which she plays, not rock as in the type. She's poison type, hence the toxic part of her name. Charon is an odd character because he was the rival first, and then in the second game, they were the normal type gym leader. So his name came from the first game, and most of the rivals in Japanese were just the opposite color, like red and blue, gold and silver, and Charon's Japanese name is based on the Bulgarian word for black, from black and white. Oh, the word is Pet Charon. Learn how to say that one, Loxton. Writer's note. Hey, Rado in it. Marlon is another new face, and I'm going to assume it's from Marlin, but an actual name. Just taking the big fish known for its speed and turning it into a common name. Woo! But when not based on the fish, the name Marlon means little hawk and comes from Old French. So Marlin could have been a much better flying type gym leader name. However, if we take a look at his Pokemon, he's got Whale Lord, the Float Whale, along with Mantine, which is partially based off of a plane, and Jellicent, which looks like a French-English balloon man. They're all sort of floaty and flying themed, so possibly his name is way better than we think. Viola. Again, we have a Japanese name here, so it's a plant, because it's the theme. However, I still have to fit it in as to why they are named that. So, the Viola plant genus exists, and being bug type, well, bugs eat plants. It's kind of their thing. But also, Viola is a type of butterfly. So, I guess the name really is perfect. Grant! Don't take him for granite! Ha! It's from granite! The type of rock. Originating from Scottish, Grant can also mean tall or great. And Grant is a rock climber. Their whole thing is to go up, get taller up in the air. So it's almost a double reasoning to name him Grant. And fun fact, his Japanese name is Zakuro, which means pomegranate. Right, see where I'm going? Grant. It's just the word pomegranate. So it's still the word granite, but it's also a flowering plant, like all the other Japanese gym leader names. But it still reflects real granite, which is rock. Corona is from the Greek name Corona, which is Cora, which means maiden. Yeah, a lot of talk for little meaning. And, well, yeah, she is a maiden, yet that's not a good reasoning. I'm sensing a sort of shift as the generations go on. The names are more just names that can be converted into puns or such. You just gotta dig a little deeper. And Corona isn't an exception. Breaking the name down, we have KO, as in to knock out, since she's fighting type and all. And being fighting type, where do fighters fight? The ring, ring, KO, ring, Corina. It could also come from arena, KO arena, Corina. Also, skating rinks to skate around, which is also what she does, because rollerblading has everything to do with fighting type. Ramos, the classic happy little old man gardener. Ramos is a surname of Spanish and Portuguese origin, which means bouquets or branches. And in Latin, it actually is just branch. So, plant gang rise up. But an added tidbit, Ramos's name in its possessive form has 2 S's, and it looks like raw moss, meaning it has moss. The cutest plant there is. Clement isn't a real name. The real name is Clement, which means mild or merciful. However, almost all of his names in every language refer to lemons or citrus of some sort. But what do lemons have to do with electricity, you may wonder? And the answer is lemon batteries. Lemon, lime, and potato batteries are super popular as a children's science fair project. And you can't name a guy after a potato, that's rude. But a lemon? Or a clementine? Clement? Yeah! That's a name. Valerie. A French name meaning strong or brave, yet I'm sure there's deeper reasoning. I mean, it is very similar to the spelling of fairy. You know, the fae, fairy, the whole type that is her gym. Also, you have to be brave to face dragons, or just to be fairy type. And actually, looking at her name in most other languages, they all sort of reference Valerianella lacosta, which is this plant, also known as corn salad or lamb's lettuce. And I guess its leaves look sort of like fairy wings. But no, their connection is better than that. In Germany, they also call it the Rapunzel plant, as it's likely what Rapunzel was stealing from the sorceress's garden in the original Brothers Grimm fairy tale, thus fairy type! Olympia is a pretty cool name. It means mountain of gods, which is pretty obvious if you know about Mount Olympus in Greek mythology. And this name origin sort of makes the starry cloak a bit less tacky, being named after the gods and all that jazz. However, psychic type has always been seen as the type with brain power and aliens, astral projection, and all that. So it's not that far of a stretch to say she's named after the stars above. Because we all know the gods were the planets. Wait, was that Roman? Well, it still works. Roman mythology is just Greek mythology with several asterisks. So yeah, the name still works, and it ties into the whole Japanese plant thing too, because Olympia is another name for the Hypericum, a gross-sounding flower.
My name's
Wolf.
Wulfric's name is an Anglo-Saxon name that actually breaks down into wolf, oh wow, who would have guessed, and rick, meaning rich. So he's a rich wolf. Or maybe he's a wool, as in a walrus, and frick, because he likes the frickin' cold. He could then also be named after the Wolfinia, which is in the same family as Lagotus glauca, which his Japanese name is based on. Oh, and if you didn't get it, wolves are normally found in cold environments. So are walruses. Or is it walrye? Anyway, he's the only Ice-type gym leader with not an F-tier name. This is actually pretty good. Milo is a German name, meaning mild, calm, or peaceful, which isn't terrible as just a straight-up name meaning. However, he could be named after many other things. I mean, there is a tree flower, the Thespesia popolnia, which is more commonly known as the Milo flower, and, well, that is sort of grassy, right? And his Japanese name is yarrow, another type of plant, grass type. Nessa is named after the Loch Ness Monster. Yep, that old black and white photo of Nessie is actually just Nessa's leg while she was swimming. Who knew the monster of the loch is actually just a swimsuit model? No, Nessa's name could also be based off of the word Ness, and then they added an A to the end because that makes it feminine, because I guess A is a girly letter. Traditionally, Nessa means pure or butterfly. You know, something lame. However, a ness is a cape or headland, the part of ground right before the ocean, normally projecting upwards and outwards into the water. But considering Galar is based on Great Britain, yeah, it's probably just the Loch Ness Monster. Kabu is named the same in the Japanese language, and could come from a number of things. And we know one of them has got to mean a plant. It's Japanese law, and it turns out Kabu is turnip. I actually knew that because of an Animal Crossing video you can watch right here. But Ka is also fire, along with Kabuto, a type of helmet, the classic samurai warlord face helmet, which is this whole guy's aesthetic. It's his logo and his Centiscorch and all. But yeah, fire turnip. Bee in Japanese is bean, like a kidney bean. And you can also bean people over the head with stuff, like fists. Really beat them up. At least they didn't name her Beatrice. Alistair. Now, before we get to the name meaning, I just want to say that his name in Japanese is onion. Like, actually it is just onion. Straight up. Like an ogre. Anyways, Alistair means man's defender in Greek. And I'm going to take that and assume it's the humanity's defender. You know, like mankind. Not just dudes. And not dudes as in the all of mankind are dudes. He's a dude, she's a dude. Like dudes as in the dudes. Just dudes, man. But clearly, that's not why he's named Alistair. What's significantly more likely is that he's just named after Aleister Crowley, who was a real-life occultist, rather famously from England. He's been referenced in many popular media franchises, like Pokémon, and I think the bad guy from Nioh is Edward Crowley, which was Aleister's real name, but he changed it to be cooler, I guess. Protector of mankind and all that. I mean, the dude started a cult. Of course he'd need a big name like that. But speaking of Aleister and onions, allium is the genus onions find themselves in, so the Japanese name is actually pretty perfect. Opal, the really cool and crazy stone. Funnily enough, Opal's name means jewel. Like so many jewels and precious stones have deep meaning and symbolism, but opal is just jewel? It comes from the Sanskrit word upala, again, meaning jewel. However, in Greek, it could also mean changing color, because opals change color, and the whole changing thing sort of works with her giving her position to Bede. The gym leader is changing, and because of this property opals have, they appear very magical, which is fitting of the fairy type. And also, opal was a massively popular store in Britain during the late Victorian era, when fairies were also super popular. And well, opal is pretty old, like giga old. So actually, yeah, it makes sense. Opal is kind of an old lady name too, and well, I guess now you know why. But Bede is a really weird name, isn't it? Well, being a classic English name, Bede means prayer, but specifically bed prayer, the one you say before you go to sleep. Also, there is this saint who shares the name Bede. He was the first saint to write in English instead of Latin, which sounds pretty unique. However, all of his English works have been lost, so how we know he wrote in English, I'm not sure, but that's what Wikipedia says. But anyway, that's notable because again, Galar is based on Great Britain, which has England, which is where English comes from. Neat. Not sure what this has to do with being a psychic and fairy type user though I guess, how else would a prayer that you think in your head reach God, if not through psychic or magical fairy-like means? Also, prayer beads are a thing. Could be that. Gordy! The diminutive name of Gordon, an English name that means from Scotland, specifically Gordon, Scotland. Is Gordy from Scotland? Maybe. I mean, the whole Galar region is sort of a mix-mash of all of the Great Britain countries. Also, a gorge is a rock thing, right? A large valley between two mountains normally split by a river. Rock stuff! It also is a verb about eating a lot of food, like way past your full point. And I'm sure I'd love to take Gordy to an all-you-can-eat buffet. That way I could really see its owners squirm. Melanie! Melons. Oh, Gordy could be named after gourds, the gourd-like plant. And Melanie, who is his mom, is named after melons. Both are similar in shape sometimes. The name Melanie, spelled with an I-E, is Greek in origin, and traditionally means dark or black, because of melanin, the pigment in the skin that makes it dark. However, Melanie is sort of the opposite of that. Extremely white because of the snow and the race and all that. So it could be that she lacks any melanin, so let's name her after that? Well, actually, so England spearheaded the Industrial Revolution, and one of the consequences of it was turning the snow black for years. As the snow falls, it picks up carbon in the air from all the smoke, and thus it turns black. So the name could be a reference to that. She's older for a gym leader. Maybe the year she was born there was black snow, so her parents named her that. Piers is famously the first dark-type gym leader, so officially licensed evil. However, Piers is sort of a misnomer. It's a French spelling of Peter, and the English version of the Greek name Pierto, meaning rock. Yeah, sort of an oddie, huh? But is it? Piers is essentially named after Peter, Jesus' main man, his bro, his best bud, the guy who wrote the book on Jesus. The goodiest of goody two-shoes. Though, are sandals shoes? Well, goody two-sandals it is then. But Piers here, well, he's dark-type evil, so sort of named the opposite, which I guess Melanie is too, so maybe that's a theme here. Piers is a punk, and what do punks do? Rebel. Nonconformist to a fault, thus the whole opposite day fun stuff. So naming him after the best good is perfect, because now he's the best bad, or the worst bad. Fighting against the labels your parents put on you is all the rage. Yeah, I'm a punk. Opposites are hard when you don't do all opposites, because like, ooh, you're mean and you don't conform, you're so rebellious that you stay within the lines of what defines a punk. Oh yeah, you're so cool and edgy, kid, keep it up. And I guess like Roxy, the rock part of his name origins is referencing more to his music rather than his type. Punk rock music and all. Now Marnie, who was your rival and then replaced Piers, well, these are hard because it's the whole rival thing again. Well, she's named after Rosemary in Japanese, so maybe we could stretch that to Rosie Mary and do the same thing with her brother, Piers the punk. So the opposite of the religion thing. Mary is the mother of Jesus, so seen as a very holy lady in many parts of Christianity. So Marnie being the opposite, there you go. Nonconformist punk. It's actually a pretty common trope to name punks and nonconformists after very the opposite of that people. You know. As a name though, Marnie has its roots as a Scottish name meaning from the sea. Marian, like the type of ology marinologists look into. And her hometown is right on the waterfront, so her name could just be based off of her birthplace, like many names are. Or it's also just the genus of rosemary. Raihan is an interesting name in this series, Muslim in origin, and meaning sweet basil. Yeah, the plant. However, some translations make it mean heaven's flower, or a heavenly fragrance. And honestly, basil is pretty good smelling, so they could mean the same thing. However, in Japanese, Raihan can be split up into two separate characters. These two. When together, the name means coming to Osaka, but separated they mean come, do, next, or become, and the other means slope, or heights. And these definitions can be manipulated into making sense. He is the next in line as champion, the second best, and the last opponent before the top of the chain, just before reaching greater heights. He's the next best, etc. Though, looking at his names in other languages, there is a theme. They all reference the common laburnum in some way, also known as the golden chain, or golden rain. And he is a weather user, so rain? Even though the weather he uses is a sandstorm? It's definitely a trickier name. Though while these laburnum trees are native to Europe, Japan has quite a fascination with them. In fact, there are quite a few in Osaka. So we've come full circle. Nice! What a neat name to end on. So those were all of the gym leaders. You'll notice I skipped Sun and Moon, and that's because they aren't gym leaders. Just think of all of the angry comments and dislikes I'd get for including them. God, my poor feelings. So they'll get their own video, along with the Elite Four and Champions. And there will be links to both of those here once they come out. And in the meantime, why not subscribe for more overanalyzation of Pokemon and sometimes not Pokemon, eh? And if you're already subscribed, please remember to never stop using your noggin.